Force resides in all living things.
I know you can do this, Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, new episodes streaming Tuesdays.
Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's up, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and welcome to my Ahsoka Episode 3 reaction video with my initial thoughts and overreaction of the episode. We're gonna go ahead and hop right on into it. Of course, I think it should go without saying that yes, there are spoilers ahead for Ahsoka Episode 3, so if you haven't already seen the episode, go check it out. And as I had also just mentioned, this is my reaction video slash initial thoughts. I'll have a breakdown video out here on the channel a little bit later. Of course, going into more detail and more depth here with what we saw throughout the actual episode into the regards of Easter eggs, things that you might have missed throughout the episode, as well as references. That being said, what an amazing continuation and episode for Ahsoka, as exactly as I had mentioned in our preview video for episode 3 of Ahsoka that I have here on the channel as well. I had kind of presumed and predicted that this episode would be short but sweet, and that's exactly what it was. It was like all killer, no filler, as I had also mentioned. We can also very well tell that like clear-cut path that the overall show and that direction of the show is going to go ahead and take here as well into the regards of Sabine. We also saw some more with Morak, the Inquisitor, unfold a little bit in this episode as well, and by that I mean that he had like more screen time, but we also actually heard him speak, which he does use like a voice changer, so that necessarily doesn't like get him any closer to us giving like a true identity for him and his character. We'll continue on with those theories though, and while I'll have a whole nother video discussing and talking about it, going into more detail and in more depth here on the channel, the Purgles were also heavily featured in this episode here as well, which is amazing. Very cool to see these like giant creatures, giant space whales in like live action. We saw them a lot throughout the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels as well, and they are going to play quite a significant role here in the Ahsoka show as well, and they're already setting up a lot of things for what these creatures are going to be doing in this overall show here as well. The quick crash course though, however, with these like creatures, the Purgles, these like giant space whales that we saw in this episode, is that they're giant space whales. I think that's like the most easiest way to put them. They even mentioned that in the episode, and that they are able to travel through hyperspace. As I had mentioned though, however, I'll have a whole nother video discussing these creatures in more depth and in more detail here on the channel in another video, so stay on the lookout for that. Before we discuss Ahsoka and Sabine training, trying to tap into the Force and everything that's going on with that, it definitely seems very clear and cut that they are going in that direction with this overall show, and I'm very excited and intrigued to see how they actually are able to pull this off, especially with Dave Filoni as the lead showrunner and in control, the writer of this overall show, as well as the creator of all of these characters as well. But firstly, I have to discuss Ahsoka in space, like outside of the spaceship, when they were passing through the Eye of Sion that Morgan Elsbeth, Baylan, and Shinhati and Morak are all like creating here in order to transfer or travel to another galaxy here. That was an insane scene and something that was torn directly from the Clone Wars and Rebels animated shows. This overall episode, in my own thoughts and opinions, felt very remnants of a Rebels or a Clone Wars episode. I think I think a lot of it just has to go with that whole adventure aspect of things and that overall like journey and mission that they're on, but also the overall action that we saw in this overall episode here as well. But just having Ahsoka jump out on the spaceship and like her spacesuit, start flinging around her lightsabers, and even take out one of the ships. What an oh my goodness moment. Like, that was just insane. I loved it. Not only that, but I love the blue suit that she was wearing there as well. We also had our first look at Hera Syndulla and some Star Wars politics earlier on in the episode with Hera Syndulla. We got the feature of Mon Mothma, played by Genevieve O'Reilly, who plays the character Mon Mothma in the Andor show here as well. This time around though, however, it's set in a completely different time or era here that's outside of like the Rogue One era before the original trilogy. This at this point is taking place after the events of the original trilogy, after the events of Return of the Jedi and the fall of the Empire. Seeing some of the conflicted New Republic politics that's going on here throughout the Ahsoka show. They also kind of featured some of it with episodes 1 and 2, but I feel like that this episode featured a lot more with it, and I think that they have the opportunity to expand with it even more throughout, not only just with the Ahsoka show here with Hera Syndulla specifically, but also with the potentially scrapped Rangers of the New Republic show kind of just bringing on Hera Syndulla as the lead of that overall show, I think would be beyond amazing. We do see those flaws with the New Republic and for why they did actually fall, and that the New Order, or the New First Order, had actually risen, that we see in the sequel trilogy with The Force Awakens. The Mandalorian Season 3, I really feel, is like that first area to really introduce some of those politics that are going on here with the New Republic here during this era of after Return of the Jedi with the Mandoverse, and that is very, very intriguing overall. I love Star Wars politics. Having that little like almost argument scene between like the senators and now actually confirmed Chancellor Mon Mothma, which I'll have to talk about that in not just our breakdown video, but also like in a whole nother video, because that was a very big wow moment for me with this episode. Aside from that, we also get our first look at Jacen Syndulla in live action. This was so cool, and it was kind of hidden from us throughout some of the TV spots and the overall trailers for the Ahsoka show. I'm not exactly sure why they were hiding that on us all that much, but he has a big opportunity to play a role in the future of not only the Ahsoka show, but also going off to train at the Jedi Academy with Luke Skywalker, or even have that opportunity training with Ezra Bridger or Ahsoka. Not just that of bringing this character into live action, we saw him briefly at the end of Star Wars Rebels. The character of Jacen, not Jacen Syndulla, is a very like prominent name in the legends of with Luke's Jedi Academy after the events of Return of the Jedi, so we do see a lot more of how Dave Filoni has had this plan, this thought, and this overall story ever since the creation of Star Wars Rebels, and is now really bringing this overall story to life really now with the Mandoverse, bringing the entire Thrawn novel trilogy and a lot of the different mediums of books and comics that we saw with now Legends of the Thrawn trilogy that takes place with a lot of the different things that take place after the events of Return of the Jedi, after the original trilogy, and bringing that whole like era now into canon is so cool, and that's exactly what we are seeing with the Mandoverse. As I had mentioned in a lot of videos in and out of the Ahsoka show here overall, this is the new world building show, comparing it to the Mandalorian Season 2 and Season 3, dealing with a lot of different characters. This show really brings that on, and it's dealing with a lot of different characters, a lot of different corners and aspects of the galaxy, and it's amazing to see that. I quickly and lastly want to discuss Sabine Wren and Ahsoka like actually training together. We see Ahsoka and like what she's actually trying to do. They do go ahead and actually explain this, of that all like the Force goes and lives in like all living things here, and that really anybody, if they try hard enough, I think is what Ahsoka's experimenting with to a point, doesn't necessarily know, but does know it to a point that if you try hard enough, maybe you'll be able to tap into the Force just a little bit. She also does explain to Hu Yang that she isn't trying to get her to use the Force necessarily, she's just trying to get her good with really lightsaber combat and just kind of poking around and experimenting if she's able to actually tap into that side of the Force and like physically really use it actually. I also want to try to discuss this in another video here on the channel in more depth and in more detail of exactly what's going on with that. Overall, an amazing episode once again of Ahsoka. They haven't failed, and I just love it. I mean, Dave Filoni's been doing amazing. Just love it. It's just amazing, guys. Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys are all thinking. What do you want to see with Ahsoka episode 4? What did you think about episode 3? Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one, guys. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.